Preheat to 350 degrees. Get ground beef. 80-20 works pretty well. Break it up. You can use the back edge of a knife so you don't cut through the tray. Dump it into a large bowl or pot. Going to be adding 6 large white eggs to that 2.5 pounds of ground beef. Adding in 2 cups of old-fashioned oats, not the quick oats. That shit's garbage. We'll be adding in 1 tablespoon and 1 teaspoon of salt and 1 tablespoon of pepper. When you're measuring out a tablespoon or a teaspoon, that stuff should not be mounding up past the edge of the spoon. That's too much then. Once the salt and pepper's in, you're going to be adding about 1/2 cup of ketchup. Make sure you shake it around before dumping it in, otherwise you're going to get a bunch of watery vinegar. And about 1/2 cup of honey barbecue Sweet Baby Ray's. You're going to carefully mix all this together really evenly. Once you're done mixing it around real evenly and well, you're going to want a pan. Looks like this. You can get them at like Bed Bath & Beyond, Kmart, Meijer's, Walmart. Just look around. If it's a normal pan that isn't non-stick, you might want to spray it with something a little bit first. Glass and non-stick work out pretty well though. When you're packing the meat into the pan, it's a pretty good idea to make sure that there's a little bit of extra lower room around the edges so the grease pools off to the sides rather than all over the top and just gets all ridiculous and burnt on and slimy. And just take the odd angled end of the spoon and just kind of jam it down in there. Just kind of shapes it into, well, a loaf-shaped meatloaf. Once your oven is preheated, you're going to take that pan and shove it in there for about an hour. Keep an eye on it. And once it's almost cooked, you're going to strain the grease off into a tin, whatever, outside. If you have to dump it down the drain, make sure you're running burning hot water down that drain for at least 4 minutes afterwards so you don't get a grease clog in your drain. And then you're going to put the sauce on top that I'll be showing you in a moment. It's been about 50 minutes and it looks like this. It's getting there. Almost cooked. It's time to drain off some of that grease and add the sauce on. Alright. Now that the grease is all strained away from the meatloaf, we're taking about 3.5 tablespoons of brown sugar. I personally use dark brown sugar. The difference is light brown sugar and dark brown sugar have molasses in it. It's this bittersweet, lovely stuff. You're going to be adding about a cup worth of ketchup. You can use a small bowl, a coffee cup like I'm using. I mean, hell, you could even do it on a paper plate. As long as you don't, get it everywhere. Just need to be able to blend this together. We'll be adding about 1 tablespoon of mustard. Just enough to taste, not, enough to turn it all yellow and crazy. You're going to mix this around. Once it's thoroughly mixed and blended, you'll be spreading it out across the top. You should only barely be able to see the meatloaf and the grains of oatmeal through the sauce. Don't want way too much, but should just barely be able to see the surface of the meatloaf through the sauce. We're going to spread this around evenly. Sure to get down the sides a little bit. Alright, now that the sauce is properly spread around, we're going to pop that back in the oven for those last 10 minutes or so. Alright, it's been about 10 minutes. Pull it out of the oven. Should be a dark, almost arterial red color. It'll be just a little bit baked looking on top. It's like it's starting to harden and cook. And you'll see like darkened, almost starting to slightly burn sauce around the edges. After it's been sitting for about 5 minutes, it should be good to cut up and serve. You'll notice it's quite moist, delicious, the sauce is thick, not completely dried out. Everybody should love it. There's no chunks in it, so your kids shouldn't have any complaint. There's no weird, dots or whatever the hell on top you've sprinkled on. And it's got a nice enough flavor profile that most of anybody who likes meat dishes should be able to enjoy this. Hope you enjoy the meatloaf.